Greetings, Patrick here, 8 Questions with, and welcome to the show. It's Wednesday, it's Hump Day, and we're excited. It's also the first day, it's also the last day of July, July 31st, and we are going out in style as we'll be talking with filmmaker, screenwriter Tremaine Hayhoe today. And Tremaine I can't wait. I know you guys hear me say that over and over, and I'm really blessed for that. But I really can't wait to talk to him. Um, he has just put out a brand new movie called SiMP, which I reviewed, and it stars some familiar faces in that movie. As a matter of fact, it stars Mike Markoff, who's been on the show a couple of times, and we also had Bunny Stewart on the show. And we will be having Bunny again soon. Um, and also, Tremaine has also put out a movie. He's got a great body of work. He's did Rideshare, like I said, he's did Simp. But the movie, I'm probably going to surprise him to ask him, probably the most questions about it. It's probably going to be the Cat Town story, because we're all about cats here. Um, but no, no, no. We're gonna be talking about all his movies, from the short film Angel of Death to Ivy League Exorcist. I can't wait to talk to him about that. I mean, come on, Ivy League Exorcist. We're all there for that. Um, and of course, a Simp, which is a really good movie. Really good movie. I was impressed. Um, and he's got him. I'm talking about Joe Leone having that star maker touch. Spotting the talent. Tremaine's no slouch. He There's a young actress in this movie named Brooke Piedra. She's amazing, and the chemistry that her and Mike Markoff have together in this film, it's beautifully done, beautifully realized. Simp is a It's sort of like, I don't know if he'd go this way, but I will. But Simp reminded me a little bit of a edgier. It's a little edgy, but he doesn't go over the cliff with it. It's an interesting movie, very interesting movie, and looking forward to talking to Tremaine about the story and about the casting process, and of course the filming process, because, like I said, the film is beautifully made. All right. So we're excited. And of course, he's also did Rideshare, that came out right before the pandemic, came out in 2018. And he's done that. And of course, the director of Cowtown Story. And we'll talk about that as well. We have been busy. We have been busy. Oh, hey, what's going on, V? Corey, I see you there. Thank you, sir. I see you're going up tonight at 9 o'clock, talking to Huck. Should be a fascinating interview. Huck seems like a really nice guy. And of course, there's Sue from the Bud Files. Glad you guys are here. And yeah, we're going to be talking to Tremaine Hayhoe here in a few minutes. Um, but as we end July, we're into August. And tomorrow, we will be having the aforementioned Joe Leone. He will be here tomorrow night with Ariana Oz, the star of his new movie, Scared to Death, that is coming out on Bayview Entertainment. Other shows include Friday the 2nd. We have we dropped our last. We dropped our Me and Eric from Hey Internet. It's Eric. We dropped our last Shark and Schlock movie. Um, I got to review Sushi Girl, and I am putting out there, and you guys can go over there and watch this. You can go over to watch my review. I am putting that Hanzo Hattori is in Sushi Girl. Sonny Chiba's character from Kill Bill, the one who made the bride her sword, he's in Sushi Girl. He is. Now, he didn't go by name, but you go over there and see who he is, how he conducts himself, how he's dressed, and tell me that's not Hanzo. Tell me. I love for people to come over and tell me, like, I don't think so, because it is. It's really cool. Hey Mike, how are you? How are you? Uh, um, so we will be talking to Like, so we'll be talking to. Oh, I'm sorry. So the slot movie for me, that was Sushi Girl got picked for me. I gave Eric uh, Wheezy Shark 2. That's right. Wheezy Shark 2 got a sequel. So Eric just dropped the review to that. And I damn near broke him, I think. I damn near broke him in half. Between Sharks of the Corn and Wheezy Shark 2, I think I just about sank you. He sank my battleship. But we had a lot of fun. And we'll be back on Friday on my channel. And we're going to come back and rank the movies that we watched and reviewed. Rank. Is it rank or ranked? We'll rank the ranked movies that we watched. Um, they weren't all bad. They weren't all bad. I was okay with two of mine. I think Eric. I think Eric liked one of his for sure, and I think he was probably a little disappointed in the other one. But the other ones, he got laid. He got laid out. Yeah, as you can tell when you watch the Wheezy Shark review, he sums it up pretty nicely in this last comment before the review ends, and I'm all right with that. So we'll be here on Friday. We'll be here on Friday, and we'll be talking about our Sharks and Schlock Week. Next week on the channel for interview, we are back, and we'll be back on the 6th of August, and we'll be talking with producer and actor Paul Shadow, who was in the movie The Omnicron Killer, and the guy's 6'6", 6'6". He has appeared in a lot of good movies, a lot of good movies. He has been in demand. You see the movies that he's been in, and you know it's no accident that he's been called in to work these movies. He's 6'6". He stars in the Omnicron Killer, and we'll be talking with him about his role as the killer and his also wearing the double hat and also as a producer. The Omnicron Killer features a couple of three very well known horror icons in Lynn Lowry, Bai Ling, and Felicia Rose in the Omnicron Killer. It's a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. My review is on my channel. So we'll be talking to Paul Hughes here. I will be talking to him next Tuesday on the 6th. On the 7th, we will be talking to our good friend Doug from Retro Fusion 3D. Now, this is a new cat to me. I caught him on Instagram, and he has a new small business that he's created where he is creating stands, 3D stands based on horror and superhero movies, and they are beautifully made. If you're a collectible, if you're into collecting, and you're looking for for a unique piece for your collection, this is the guy you want to go talk to. And we will be talking to him, and we will see how he does his work. Some of the pieces that he's created, I've seen him on his Instagram page. Phenomenal, phenomenal. Hopefully they'll be in some stores soon, so you can pick him up. If not, you can always pick him up straight out from his website. Hi Brian, how are you? Glad you're here. Welcome from Albuquerque. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Albuquerque, New Mexico in the house. There is our favorite roughneck, Larry, the horror cat dad. All right, the door is knocking, and you know how that means. Whenever the door is knocking, we go get it. So please help me put your hands together and help me welcome in Tremaine Hayhoe. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello.
You're
How are
live
you?
now? Oh, okay. I'm
Oh
doing well. How
yeah.
are you doing?
Good, good.
Yeah.
Love the outfit.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, I hear a little bit of feedback. So you'll have
Feedback?
to turn down, yeah, you have to turn down your sound on your monitor.
Okay. All right, cool. Is that better?
Testing one. Testing one, two. Yeah, yeah.
Testing one, two.
Well,
Okay,
no,
okay.
no, I can hear me.
Oh, you know what? Here, let me do this. See, this is why I thought we were early because I didn't think we were live yet. That's why I wanted to do a tech check. But all right, let's try it right now. Try it now.
Testing one, two. Yeah, there we
Testing one.
go.
That better?
That's
Okay.
right.
All right. Cool.
That's right.
Awesome.
Um, you know what's funny is I was I was commenting right before you got here. I was looking at your body of work, and I know you put out SiMP, and we're very eager to talk about that movie. And I'm like, I'm amped for this. I'm so psyched up because it's such a cool, kick-ass movie. You got a beautiful leading lady who's very talented. You got a rising star, and Mike Markoff. And I'm like, I can't wait to sink my teeth into this. And then I saw,
Oh, thank you.
right. And then I saw you did a movie called The Cat Town Story, and I'm like, oh man, we're gonna be talking about that a lot because if we're anything else here, we're cat people.
Oh,
Um,
great. Good to hear.
that yeah. Of course, we're gonna be talking about everything. I was curious about that. I did not know that you had made a documentary.
Yes, I made a documentary. I've made a couple documentaries now, but yeah, I made a documentary called The Cat Town Story about a cat adoption center that helps rehabilitate unwanted cats and makes them lovable pets. It actually just came out on DVD, you guys. So we got DVD distribution, DVD release. You can buy them wherever DVDs are sold,
Uh, who
eBay, and
who's distributing it?
So Film Hub is our distributor. So we have
Okay.
a company called Film Hub. You basically submit it. They do the quality control check on it. They make sure it looks good, looks like a movie. You can't just submit it to nothing. And then they have connections to Amazon Prime. They also even pitch it to Netflix. Netflix is a lot tougher to get into, especially on the lower budget range. But if you have higher budget range, like I can't just go to Netflix and be like, hey guys, buy my movie. You need a third party distributor that's been vetted and is accredited. So that's kind of where that came from.
Well, but you already have the magic word though. All you have to do is say cats, and how cats own the internet.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Cat,
If you go
cats,
to
cats equal views, Tremaine.
right.
I mean,
Yes.
everybody knows that. Look, we look in
Yeah.
the chat. We already got a horror cat dad in the house. I mean, there we go.
Oh yeah, the horror cat dad. Well, I make horror movies and I made a cat movie. So hey, we're all in good company here. This is great.
Um,
This is awesome.
I'm all right. Let's get into this. We're having a little bit of fun here, but I want to get into this because we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to
Okay.
talk about, and I want to go back to the beginning. Normally, I go a little bit to the future, then I come back. But for this one, I want to go. I want to go to the. I want to go backwards a little bit because I think your story coming up is going to be fascinating to hear, and I'm here. I'm all in for it. So tell us a little bit about how you got your start in this crazy business. I mean, were you always a creative as a young person? Because I sense that you were always making something when you were growing up.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I was always growing up. Started out kindergarten. I was in every school play every year from kindergarten to eighth grade. And then but every year I still had to audition. I had to do the audition process. And that always scared me. I always hated the audition process. But by the time I hit eighth grade, I'm like, wait a second. If I make the video, I could just put myself in the video and then don't have to audition. So that's kind of what that kind of started. So around seventh grade, my friend and my parents had an old video camera, like a high eight video camera. For those of you guys that don't know, high eight, it's like tapes, real tapes. And we made the stop motion Lego movies. We started out with this movie called Dead Man. We had a Western, Old West Lego set, and we just did stop motion, really rudimentary stuff, not like the pro stop motion that we see today. It's really like start the camera, move a little bit, stop the camera, talk during the thing. Nothing
Now, how
sophisticated, but we
old
had so much.
how old were you
Uh,
when you were doing this?
I was 7th grade, so, like, 13, I think, like, 13, 12,
I'm just
13.
I'm just trying to imagine the patience that you must have had when you were 13 to do stop motion, because that's an incredibly difficult way to film a movie. Like you said, you get
Well,
out there.
again, I mean, it's really rudimentary stop motion. It's not the real stop motion. It was, like, really, it was really start and stop it, and the movies were only a couple minutes long, so and we would talk during, you know what I mean? Like, the sophisticated stop motion, the proper way to do it would be to take a picture, move everything every so slightly, and then add in all the images in post, or all the audio in post and all that stuff. But we added the audio while we were doing it, stuff like that. So it was really rudimentary, really goofy stuff. But we had a lot of fun with it. We had a lot of fun, and then we ended up filming like, we just kept filming silly sketches, silly videos. And then in high school, I wouldn't want to write a paper, so instead I'd make a video. So that would either work out really well for me, or it would work out horribly for me. So people, that my professor was either like, "Oh my gosh, wow, you put in the time, effort, energy to make a video," or they'd be like, "Tremaine, that wasn't the assignment. You were supposed to write a paper."
Yeah. Yeah,
And
you gotta actually write. Well, but you are a writer. So was it easier were you did you like to write as well, or did you look at it as a lesser of two evils, or which one was more creative? Because it doesn't sound like you were
well,
afraid to
like I like to write, but I like to write stories or short stories or something that's, I like to write that. But when it comes to writing about 18th century, history, that's just, or any type of formal paper or assignment, that's more like, that was more like dragging, pulling teeth for me. So I do love writing. I love writing is a lot of fun. But at that time, if you're forced to write a paper about a subject you don't really care about, that's a little bit different. So
yeah,
I would
I get
rather
you.
just make a video about it, or um,
So,
yeah,
but at least they gave you credit for at least trying, right? Like, okay, that's not the assignment, but I'm gonna give you some extra credit anyway, just for the originality and the creativity. I mean, I think if we talk to most teachers today, I think they've probably bent over backwards to have someone like you come into their class and be that creative. Most people now are like this on the phone, or the video games, and but for someone to come in there and to do a stop motion or any sort of creativity at age 13, I think most teachers, they still make you right, but they wouldn't harsh down on you. They wouldn't try to discourage you from doing what you did. They would just sit there and say, maybe in conjunction with the project, right? I mean, you
yeah.
get
I mean, I would hope so. Yeah, I would hope so. I don't exactly know how it is with kids these days or classes these days, but yeah, I mean, it would be a fun. That would have been cool to be, but it was always pretty positive, pretty much. But
sure.
again, it was yeah, that's kind of where I started, and then I just kept going. Um, so I
Were there
just kept
any
going.
were there any inspirations for you when you were growing up? I mean, were you looking at? I mean, was there anybody out there that you watched or admired or paid homage to their work?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, growing up, I grew up on Alfred Hitchcock movies. So my parents had a VHS box set of The Lady Vanishes, The 39 Steps, The Man Who Knew Too Much. Actually, I have the box set right here. If you look at it right there, see, it's right here.
Nice.
And that, yeah, those were the movies that I kind of grew up on. So I really like the murder mystery or the suspense, the thrillers, and he would always make it. Yeah, I just love the thrill, the suspense, and I never really liked over gore or anything like that. And actually, as a kid, I wasn't allowed to watch rated R movies. I believe when I was in first grade or something, I said like, "Oh, I can't wait till I'm 18 so I could drive a Lamborghini." And then I also said, "I can't wait till I'm 17 so I could watch rated R movies." So that's kind of what
Right.
or mine
But you
my mindset.
But you know, having being exposed to Hitchcock the way that you were, you know, I'm sure that part of it was like, you know, you could do all that without the gore. You know, I mean, look at people still talk. You know, Psycho really is the gate. You know, the door. You know, the gateway to horror. You know, the slasher came from there, and then homicidal and onward. But I mean, look how much gore it really was in Psycho. I mean, there was really nothing. I mean, you got the scene in the bathtub, a little blood on the bottom of the sink, but that was it. But it was still enough. And
Right.
I'm a Hitchcock fan too. I just watched North by Northwest and Strangers on a Train. Strangers on a Train.
Oh, oh, awesome. Two fantastic movies. Did you see, because he remade his own movie, Strangers on a Train. Did you watch the way earlier one or the more recent version?
I watched the way early one, the one in the 50s with
Oh,
Marty Granger and Walker, Robert Walker.
I believe he made one even in the 30s, like the way earlier one. That
Did
was,
he?
yeah. So, and then he made a remake. Yeah, yeah. So that was kind of really interesting. But yeah, that's a great one. And Lady Vanish is kind of similar to Strangers on a Train a little bit, where they're on a train and then there's a sweet lady, then all of a sudden she disappears, and it's like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah,
And
Agatha Christie did a story like that with her Miss
oh
Marple.
yeah,
Yeah,
well, there's
very, very,
Murder on
very,
the Orient Express.
yeah.
That's a good one. Um,
And then one's called the Paddington train, like the 218 Paddington or something. And the Miss Marple's there, and she looks over on another train passing, and she sees a murder, what she thinks is a murder. And then when she gets there, it's like nothing happened. It's a Yeah, it's very cool. The English, man, the English do some they I mean they do some crazy stories. They come out with some really strong stories. And people forget Hitchcock is English. People
oh
forget that.
yeah. Oh, they should
Yeah.
never forget that. Yeah, I mean, he's English. He was raised Catholic. He went to an all boys school, and then he moved to America. And then for me, not to compare, I was raised Catholic, went to an all boys high school, and my dad's English. So I'm half English, half American. So anyway, there's that Hitchcock Hayhoe connection right there. Not compare, not to say I'm anywhere near as good as Hitchcock, but he was always an idol of mine growing up.
You know what? Let's don't sell yourself short on that because you know Simp is it you know what? Honest to God, it holds its own. It really does. It really holds its own because what I really loved about Simp was the restraint. Everything looked toward what we always see every time, all the time. Like there's going to be a clash, there's going to be a death, there's going to be a final girl, there's going to be all that. It'd be so easy just to go ahead and do that. But you really reined in and made it more of a character study, which is what Hitchcock excelled at.
Thank you.
He excelled at the characters. It wasn't never the action for Hitchcock. It was always the people, you know, driving the action that fascinated him. And
Thank
I,
you.
yes, I mean, do you not see that in your own film? Do you not see that the
Oh no,
how
I definitely do, and it's definitely purely intentional. I mean, everything is. I'm always more interested in the character, not the um like the characters drive the plot versus the plot driving the characters, right? I'm always thinking about who are these people, and it goes without saying we're not going to spoil anything, right, Patrick? So
no.
without spoiling, because it's not out yet, but I do have some good news about Simp. We'll talk about in a little bit, but
Sure.
they're
I'm gonna catch up to the chat real quick because we've had some
sure.
people come in while you and I have been talking. I definitely want to say hi to our good friend Hobbs Horror. And our my good friend Eric is still here. He's still my friend after I made him watch Weezy Shark 2. That's a miracle all in itself. Hello, Betty. How are you? Glad you're here. Lady J, glad you're here as well. Yeah, we're having fun with screenwriter and filmmaker Tremaine Hayhoe, and we're having a good time. This is fun. So now here you are. You're in high school. After you get out of junior high, and you're making your video. You're making your video movies, and then I take it high school was when you were starting to do the extra credit by making a film instead of writing out the assignment. Um,
Right. Yeah.
okay, so now, did you do anything else in high school other than earn extra credit for your films? And more importantly, did you save anything?
Yes, I did. You know what's funny is that I had an old storage unit back in the day that ended up I lost the storage unit, but I thought that I had my old tapes in there. And I was so bummed about that because like stuff you can get back, but old videos you can't. But it turns out my folks moved a year or two ago, and they ended up finding the actual first camera that I had that I started out with. And it turns out I still have all of it. I still have those first videos. And I think I will post. I got to put shout out to Righteous Rodeo over here, by the way. He's um I have them. So I think I should. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think, Righteous? What do you think, Steve? You guys should I post
Bring
my
it back
my
up?
first videos from back in the day?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. By
so
all means.
it was cool, so that was, like, a fun relief that I had it, and the one thing that I need to find is that by the time I hit senior year of high school, my good friend of mine and I wanted to write and make a movie. We were getting senioritis, it was 2nd semester of senior year and everything, and we're like, "Oh, it'd be really cool before we go to college to write a movie and make a movie." So we ended up doing that. We in class instead of making notes, and of course, like some of the classes we were watching movies anyway, because 2nd semester senior year, it's always it's kind of becomes a bit of a joke, right?
Right.
So so we were writing, and he would write one scene, I'd write the next scene, and we ended up making a movie about two guys that are too lazy to get jobs, so they decide to dress up as Mormons and ask for donations, and it's called Joe Smith. It's called Joe Smith. It was our first thing. We spent the whole summer putting it together. We had the day before I went off to college. We had our big premiere. We had about 50 people crammed into my parents' game room, and of course, we were finishing trying to burn the DVD that day of, the night of, and then what ended up happening was to delay everyone. I We kept posting all the earlier films. Like we had this little video called Goblin that we made in high school when we went camping, and we had a ghillie suit and a goblin costume, and so we ended up like showing all these short films, and it helped out because it was building the audience up, and you could see a little bit of a progression with each one gets a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, and then by the time we hit Joe Smith, we had a really good response. So those DVDs are somewhere. I've got friends and families that have the DVD. I had uploaded it to YouTube, but you had to upload it. I uploaded it in 4 parts, but the first part got like copyright strike because I did what a lot of first time filmmakers do is they put they put popular music, and like we had Sublime music in there and everything,
Right.
and they ended up taking out the whole audio for part one. So I have like the second, third, and fourth parts, I think, but not the first one. So
With,
hopefully,
with,
when I get it all back, I can get it back, and then now it's like
with,
you don't get penalized by YouTube. You just can't monetize
right.
if you're,
I mean, because I was gonna say, isn't it funny how? Because I got noticed too. I got like YouTube like notice, not strikes, and it was like from the guests I had on that night that were singing their original music. They were
no
there
way.
they're there, and it's like, of course you can't go over there, and you can't say anything like, yeah, I was interviewing the guy who wrote the song, and he said it was fine for me to do this. They
Yeah, let
don't
me
they
ask
don't
him real quick. Can I do this? Yes, I can. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
permission.
It's like, and
Yeah.
there's like, if I wanted to show a clip if I wanted to show a clip of one of your films, here I'm showing a clip of Cat Town, and all of a sudden they're gonna knock on my door, the YouTube police, and going like, but I'm interviewing the filmmaker. But of course they have no people, to monitor. Now everything's just done by computer. There's no human element. And
Well, if you play, the thing is, it's kind of how you do it. Because if you play a couple seconds and you stop and we talk about it, you most likely will not get docked at all. But if you
Yeah.
do play the full thing, you might get docked with it. You could always appeal it, but that just becomes a whole nother thing. You could appeal it and then you say, oh no, I have permission. And then that takes a while. So that becomes a
Yeah.
whole process.
It's a
Yeah.
it's a it's a it's a pain in the ass. Your own YouTube channel is popping. You have over 5,000 subs, and you're very active on it. It seems like you grasp the idea of publicity and social media right out of the gate. Tremaine's link is down in the description box, so feel free to go over there and sub to his channel. Um, yeah, how long have you had your YouTube channel,
Thank
Tremaine?
you. Yeah, to be honest, we've had it for I believe 14 years now. So it's kind of been a long time, and it doesn't actually, if you look at it, it should be a lot more, and I could be being even more active with it, but I've haven't as of late the past couple years taken it a lot more seriously. But a lot of my friends, my peers here, like Rideshare Rodeo, just surpassed me in subs. So congratulations to Steve.
All
And
right.
but it's all about consistency, and I'm trying
Yeah.
to get back to being more consistent and more active. And sometimes if you're working on a feature film, it's harder to focus on the shorter content things because you kind of have to always keep that flowing. You got to keep feeding that YouTube beast. So
Yeah. That's for
it's
well,
right.
in today's world of filmmaking, when you sit down and with your department heads and you plan out pre-production, does that factor does press and social media factor into the making of the film? Like, okay, like for a feature film, like let's just go with let's go with
Go,
we'll
go
go with Cat
simp.
Town. We'll,
Oh,
we'll,
yeah, we can go with cat then. Okay.
okay, so we'll
Yeah.
go with Cat Town. Told you we are gonna talk about like cats. So but we are gonna get to simps. I promise you. I promise you.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
cat. Let's go with Cat Town. So when you sat down there with your
Okay.
team, your department heads and whatnot, and you got cats. That's right. That's right. Look at
You can buy it on DVD, guys. Yes, people still buy DVDs, and it's a collector's
right.
item.
That's right. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Look at get. How come there's no orange cats on the cover?
No, there is. There is.
Is
There's
there orange
Kevin
cat? Okay. Okay. I
right
want to
here.
make sure. Okay, I see
See
him
Kevin?
now. Okay.
Kevin's
Okay.
my favorite cat.
Oh,
He's the funniest one. Yeah,
now
you got to check out the Cat Town story,
if you
Patrick.
look up, if you look right above you, you'll see the cheetah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask you, or have I asked you that the whole have cheetah will view? Where did that come from? And what does that
Um,
mean?
the Have Cheetah Will View that has actually started off as an old TV series called Have Gun Will Travel, and it started
Oh,
with
that's
a dude as a man named Paladin, and he went around and he helped people. And so and that
right.
came out in the 50s. And I said, that's I didn't see the series until after into the 2000s, and I'm going like, how come I never heard of this show? So I watched it and I just fell in love with the character. I told my wife, I said, the next cat I'm getting, I'm gonna name him Paladin. And that's what happened. I got him and I named him Paladin. And so I came out with my well, how it happened was I actually went to IMDb to do reviews, start reviewing.
Uh-huh.
So I went and they said, "Well, you can't put review in there. Like I was gonna have Cheetah will review, but
Uh-huh.
IMDb doesn't like that word. So I had to shorten it
Oh,
to review. And
interesting. Huh.
that's right.
Wow.
So that's how it came in. Yeah, yeah, it's been going pretty well so far. Okay, so here you are. You're in pre-production, and now because this is a modern age. Now, do you factor that into the filmmaking process as far as publicity goes, or like some movies seem to thrive on they're being made, even if they're being made people are sending pictures out to the press and you see behind the scene pictures of the shooting and what have you. Is that normal for a project to do that, to take pictures or to talk about press and I guess now social media while you're making the movie? Does that factor into any aspect of making a film?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you want to keep people posted and you have to keep everything going. there's kind of two ways of doing it now. It's like I remember, back in the day, you would have a trailer and it'd be like 2 years before the movie comes out, right? And then they might have a little featurettes coming up. But then now it's kind of like, oh, a movie just came out. And then now all of a sudden there's all this press about it. Now all of a sudden they're like, I'll give you an example. So Deadpool versus Wolverine and Wolverine. They did so much marketing with that movie. Like they go on different, they go on talk shows. They went on Hot Ones. They do lie detector test things. They do all these things around it. Now it's like this big social media push where they don't post it all until the movie's out. So that's kind of a key here, I think, because I do have a lot of behind the scenes. We'll go with SiMP. With SiMP, there's a whole behind the scenes. There's a ton of footage. There's a ton of pictures. There's a ton of stuff. There's a whole podcast with myself and Brooke and Mike that we filmed the day after the Sacktown Movie Buffs Film Festival, which, by the way, we did win Best Feature Film. It's right here. We won Best Feature Film.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Paul, who's in there, shout out to Paul. And he won Best Horror Film for his movie. So he's Best Horror Short Film. And he made a movie about a possessed waffle iron. And he won the award for that. And he's actually made a movie about International or House of I'm sorry, Paul. I'm butchering the name, but House of Haunted House of Pancakes, I believe. Haunted House of Pancakes. That'll be coming out. You should talk to him and have him as a guest too.
Oh, well, I definitely will. Anybody that makes Haunted Waffle Maker is all over.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to go with that for sure. I mean, I know more about that.
Yeah.
Hi, Wes. How are you, sir? Glad you're here. And then is that the sequel, Haunted House of Pancakes, or it's Haunted House of Pancakes, and then there's Haunted Waffle Maker.
Right.
Okay.
Lego My Soul was the first one. Lego My Soul.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny. Sacktown Movie Buff just found me today on Instagram, and he sent me. He started following me. I have a feeling it probably had to do with our interview tonight.
Yeah, I tagged him and I tagged you in our post. So
yeah,
that's great. That's awesome.
Thank you so
Shout
much.
out to Sacktown Movie Buffs. Yes.
Yes. So, what was your first film that you made? What was the first film that you made as far as being for a filmmaker? Did you do a nonfiction story first, or did you do a fiction story first? And how old were you?
Well, the first feature film. We're talking about feature film, like
Any film. I mean,
well,
I know by your body, but I was going to ask you about that. According to this, it's you are a crew member on hard costs, and then you all right. So, well,
I'm so mad. I'm so annoyed with IMDb because it's like I can't get that stupid. Look, I was a crew member of Hard Cost, but like the first thing when you go up to my IMDb is that whole video of that short film, which, to be honest, it had nothing to do with me. I was a crew member for a couple of the days, but I don't want that to be the first thing people see when I'm up there. Right?
We're going to turn into a positive, Tremaine, because I want to know what your experience was like. I mean, because up to that time you've been making movies on tape, right? So this is like that was actually your first set that you came on, right? As far as like with cameras and a cast.
No,
that wasn't your first movie.
No, maybe first one on IMDb, but I worked on a bunch. I worked on a TV show. I was a student assistant at KPBS, which is public broadcasting. So I was cameraman on set of an actual TV studio in San Diego, and those were my real credits. Like I also ran teleprompter too, and those are the first day I had to run teleprompter. They gave me about 5 minutes. Okay, this is how you scroll up. This is how you scroll down, and we are live in 5. All right, now go. I'm like, what?
So were you nervous?
Yes, I was terrified. I was
I'm ter
horrified.
I'm terrified thinking about it.
I know, and I'm like, "Oh, up is down," and then you had to make sure that they're reading it okay, then the pacing and everything, and then they're like, "Go up, go up, go up," which means up is actually down. So I'm always thinking about like that is down, but down is up. Yeah. So, but I survived.
Now
I did it. Did it without a hitch, and but yeah, my heart was pounding like crazy.
oh, I bet. But it was also probably once it was done, you're probably like, "I wanna do it again."
Right. Yeah. Once you do that and you know you could do it, that's it. You just have that confidence to keep going. And then also because years later, I was on this other set. We were filming after a fire, and it was like one of those political ads where it's like vote on AB so and so, to help prevent forest fire or something like that. We're in the middle of it's like 110-degree heat after a fire, and I had a teleprompter out, and my laptop, and the file they gave me wasn't working, and time is money on set, and it's a big client and everything. But I didn't trip out. I fixed the bugs and fixed the issue and got it going and saved the day. So, but I attribute all my earlier work for being live, where the pressure's on, to being able to do that. You just can't trip out when things are going wrong. And also you kind of have to figure out ways to help delay other people and get them distracted while you're getting things done as
Mhm.
well. It's a little bit inside
Yeah,
baseball.
like, could you guys, while you're troubleshooting, they're all looking at you, and can you sit there and say, "Can you get me a bottle of water or something?" Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The
Or
one
it's
the
like,
one
oh guys, look at the back. Oh, you can see that van in the background. Oh, that doesn't look that good, that
yeah.
shot. And then they're like,
Can
oh,
you
can I get so you just distract them with, with other
uh,
things.
that see, look at all the valuable intel that you picked up, right? Um,
Yeah.
now,
Right.
okay, so let's not go to, the other movie then that's not supposed to be there, so let me ask you this then. What do you consider the very first project you worked on, as far as a filming as far as being in doing films? I mean, what was your role in it, and what was the movie itself?
You mean like, yeah, so there was this another shoot. Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
my first
did you
experience with I had a first experience of a red camera. When red camera came out, that was like the big, huge deal.
right,
And actually, people that made that same hard cost movie made this other movie called Settled at Sunrise. And it was a Western, and they found this Western set. We went out, and they had this old Western. It was
that's a
like a couple
great ti
hours out.
that's a great title. That's a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
title.
really great title, and that was and that was good. That was a fun experience. I think I just PA'd on that, but being a or I slated. I did AC um as well. So yeah, yeah, there's an old photo of me with the slate on these train tracks, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, you
What is the function of a slate? I mean, I've heard people who sit there and say, "I love clicking the slate. I love doing that." You know, I see pictures of people doing that. What is a slate, and what's its purpose?
yeah. So actually, here, you know what? Wait a couple seconds here. I can show you real quick. Do a little learning session.
So remember, boys and girls, remember, Cat Town Story is available on DVD. And I'm going to see if he's selling it through his own, if he's selling it through his own. Do you have a do you have copy? Will people be able to buy copies from you directly?
You know, not yet, but you can buy it on eBay. You can buy it on uh, Best Buy. I believe you can buy it on Walmart. You can buy
Okay,
it. Yeah,
bestbuy.com.
yeah. If you look up the Cat Town Story DVD, you'll be able to find it. There's a lot of different retailers that sell the DVDs, and we still get the credit. It just doesn't. It's not from my site directly. They just handle everything else, which is really cool because then I don't have to worry about the shipping and the packaging and all that stuff. But yeah, so this right here is a slate right here. Okay.
Mhm.
If you guys see here, there's roll one, scene four, take three, right? Okay, here's the title. Let's say Grow With Us. Director, my last name, that's me. Camera is Joe. We have a lot of info, like if you're doing cam right here, we were running two cameras. So we had camera A and B, A/B,
Oh,
and
okay.
then 24 frames per second. So it's literally for, so roll one, right? Okay, so roll one. Roll one is like back in the day, they had actual film rolls, but now it's like SD card one, essentially. So the first card you're using is that. So you keep track of it in post production. And then scene four, right? So let's say there's first scenes. One scene's in the kitchen, second scene is outside, third scene is at a pool, fourth scene is at the convention center. Okay. So for scene four, that means okay, scene four, listed in the script, it's labeled out. So we know this is the fourth scene, and then we know the third take. So when you're syncing and when you have the sound and the picture, you sync it up. So while you do this, you'll go scene four, take three, marker. You clap it. In post, the editor can see, oh, okay, without even playing anything, they know it's scene four, take three. Okay. And then like the sound guy can hear scene four, take three. So they match it up. You can match it up with the picture and the audio. And then you make sure everything is organized safely. So
Okay.
that's essentially the purpose of the slate. Because if you just randomly roll, if you start randomly rolling, you say go, and then like you're the camera guy starts it and stops it, but the sound guy keeps rolling and then he stops randomly and then starts halfway through and all that stuff. That becomes a nightmare in post. You want to be able to organize that, and that'll actually save you so much time because you'll just have everything keep track. Because sometimes if you put it in the wrong file, like if you put a roll two in roll one and things aren't matching up, you're like, wait a second,
Mm.
how come this isn't matching up? And then you just realize, oh, they accidentally put the second roll in the third roll or the first roll in the third roll. So that way you have to go back and like. So I was a lead assistant editor at this company called Maker Studio. So Maker Studio. So my literal job was to keep track of every single footage, all the footage of all the videos in the company. So you just have to be organized and
Wow,
um,
that's a far more important job than I realized.
oh, it's super important. It's
Yeah.
completely important. Yeah. And then typically you have, and then you say like take three, right? And then the director will, there'll be someone who's an AD, or the script supervisor will keep track and make sure everything is like we're going down the line. And then they'll write notes. And then that'll be for the editor too. They'll say, oh, director liked take three, right? Or they'll say take two, there's a mess up halfway through. And then those notes when someone's in the editing booth and they weren't there on set, they don't know anything from Adam, and there's 20 takes, they can just look at the notes like, okay, director like take 14, 3, and 7. So
Could you
that's
imagine? Could you imagine what an editor would be like on a Kubrick film?
oh my gosh, yeah, oh my gosh, geez, yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't. It's interesting. Clint Eastwood had said, I believe, I think it's like I forget the exact number, but he's like, when you go past 20 takes, it gets to the point where you don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know
Yeah.
what the fuck, you don't know what you're doing because you don't honestly, in just from my experience, the difference between take three and take 23 is very minimal. Like people are really not going to be, and obviously Kubrick is a brilliant genius master, but I guarantee you he probably had, if he shot 50 takes of something, I guarantee you he probably had 10 takes that you could probably now not even tell the difference between, that could have fit in the same way.
I think
So
Eastwood. I think what's the Eastwood? I think he's the opposite of Kubrick. I mean,
Eastwood is a complete
I
opposite. He
really
does
don't. I
one
really
or two
don't.
takes. He does
Yeah.
like one to two takes. Yeah, and
Yeah. But
and I think that's great. But I feel like if we go, I think 3 to 5 is a sweet is like a sweet is a sweet spot. If you can get it, if you can get it in one take, great. But you always want to do one for safety because
how do you
heaven
know?
forbid.
How do you know? I mean, do you look at dailies? But I mean, have you ever just watched the scene let's say Mike and Brooke are doing a scene, and you watch it and you go like, like that's it. That's the one right there. I don't need to do another one. Have you done single takes like that? Have actors risen up and nailed it right on the bat, or do you
Yeah.
do two or three just as a backup, just in case?
Usually, if they nail it right away, it's like, okay, that was great. Let's do another one for safety and then move on. And then that's great. Like we know we got it. And then um and yeah, but typically with SiMP, we were pretty good with not having that many takes.
Yeah,
And and there are a lot of scenes with long dialogue and not necessarily monologues, but a lot of dialogue back and forth in like a 5 minute long scene, particularly one. This isn't really well, it's not really well, uh well, okay, there's a scene where he takes his mask off, but that's like a 5 minute long scene ish around there, and they did it all like back and forth type thing. So and then we would just do it again, and I believe that took like 3 takes, and I just knew we had it when we had it.
okay, so
Um,
what, we're gonna climb into simp because because I have a lot of questions. So
okay,
let's talk about this because it's like I said before, it's a fantastic film. uh
thank you.
I can already tell you it's gonna be in my it's gonna be on my best of the year list. I really enjoyed it.
Wow.
So let's talk about it. Like, where did the story come from? Where did the genesis for the story come from?
Well, I had heard a few years back, I heard this story about a model who got kidnapped at a fake photo shoot. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then she was on like 60 Minutes, she was on Dr. Phil. And what was really interesting was that no one believed her. Like no one believed that it actually happened. And she had proof, she had evidence, but because she was a model, because she was this really attractive girl, they didn't believe her. And I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. And so, when I hear a story, I'm always, I people always pitch me stuff. Oh, this should be a movie, that should be a movie, or I'm always thinking about, oh, that can make a great movie, that can make a great movie. But it just stuck. That story just kind of stuck with me. It just stuck in my head, and
It
I was
does
just like,
happen though, right, Tremaine? It does happen. I mean, there's been plenty of stories where a young, attractive middle, housewife has gone missing, gone missing per se, and then
yeah,
like in the woods or what have you. Then they find her a week later. Oh my God! And then they find out that it was all bullshit. That
yeah,
she lied.
right, yeah, totally. No, there's definitely the cry wolf stories. So that's kind of like, is she in on it? Or what were the people around her in on it? Was she not necessarily like? Did she not know that she was in on it? And other people around her just wanted to get these. Was it staged? Was it? So that's kind of something that you want to, like with this movie. You're taking the audience for a ride, and you're bringing them with her, and then you're kind of seeing in the outside world how people are reacting, or how that would kind of be in the outside world. And it is it's a huge, very serious topic. I mean, sex trafficking is a big,
Yeah.
huge thing. But I didn't want this movie to be like a Lifetime movie where she's just a damsel in distress, just crying and screaming all the time, saying, let me go, let me go. I wanted it to be more of a character piece where she's using her mind and her wit uh to live, to keep surviving. So that's kind of where it came about. And so I had that inkling of an idea, and then I just wrote the script, and then 2020 happened. I'd only written like half the script, and I'm like, okay, it's time for me to finish this script. So I did. And then for this script, I really I studied a lot of movies. And I
What
showed
did
it to I
what did you study?
well, I guess not for the writing sake. For the writing step, I more sent to a lot of filmmaker friends, a lot of writer friends of mine, I got their feedback, and I really made a point to fine tune it as much as I could. And then when it came to the visuals, I studied films and I would just watch movies silently, and I would just look at them and trying to see, because Alfred Hitchcock says if he started out in the silent era, and that worked to his advantage because he now, when it came to having audio, he could tell a picture. You could have any of his movies on mute, and you know exactly what's going on the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you want as a filmmaker, because it's a visual medium. You want people to, whether they can hear the dialogue or not, whether the movie's on the TV at a airport or at the bar or something like that, they can actually follow along the story and get what's going on. So I believe I watched movies like Fight Club. I watched, what else did I watch? I watched well, I also took master class. You guys know master class, like that uh it's like, yeah, you sign up for it, and then there's people like Aaron Sorkin and Martin Scorsese and R.L. Stein giving courses on so yeah, like I took the Aaron Sorkin class,
Good
and I
one.
took the R.L. Stein class. Actually, that one helped me out the most. Like the writer of Goosebumps. Any Goosebumps fans out there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So learning from the best, like some of the best writers, and Aaron Sorkin's class was really good too. Then I took Martin Scorsese's class as well, and just absorbed as much as I could to do my best, right? To put my best foot forward when it comes to writing and developing the story. And yeah, and then yeah, I would watch anything else. I'm trying to think of what else. I
I'm just
watched.
I'm listening because I'm thinking of I do another show on Sunday nights, the last Sunday of the month, and we just did one called Bound to Vengeance, and it's a human trafficking story. And this young
Oh,
girl who's been kidnapped with her sister, and she's been held for over 6 months. And she takes advantage of the one of the kidnappers. He's sloppy, and so she escapes and takes him with her and to free the other girls. And it's bloody as hell, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and the ending's unforgettable. It
okay,
truly
no
is.
spoilers, no spoilers. I'll have to check it out. Where is that on? Is that on?
It came out on IFC midnight,
Oh, okay.
so you can probably catch it on Shutter. Came
Oh,
out in
okay.
came out in 2015.
Oh,
And,
nice.
and the iSource says that Goosebumps was big when he was growing up. Yeah, still is. Goosebumps is yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, and you mentioned all the other people, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going like all those people. You would think the one guy who probably knows the least about making a horror movie is the horror writer, and yet he makes really good horror. I mean, when I think of Martin Scorsese or Aaron Sorkin, I don't really think of them as horror, people who can do horror. They can do thrillers, they can do suspense. Scorsese can do, he tried with Shutter Island. I didn't
Right.
like. I think Shutter Island showed that he was not in his wheelhouse there. That movie, I mean, he gave away the whole movie in the first 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, it was funny because a lot of people thought it was a big twist ending, but to me, I guessed it very quickly
Yeah,
as
he's just
well.
yeah, he just that's just not his wheelhouse is
Yeah.
horror suspense. Is this crime drama. So and Sorkin's more social commentary. And R.L. Stein is scare the shit out of you if he can.
Yeah, but R.L. Stein, his approach was always, because he's doing kids books, right? So they were scary, but they always had a happy ending. There was the way he did it, but he was really good because he talks about, we lost him. We're gonna bring him back.
No,
Okay. Uh, so he always talked about writing the outline first. And I guess when he first started out, his publisher said, "Well, where's your outline?" And he just like, "I didn't have it. I don't have an outline." And he didn't want to do it. But then once he learned that he doing the outline first makes the rest of the writing that much easier. That was his approach. And then he says he doesn't write a single thing without writing an outline. Now, there is Stephen King who does the complete opposite, where he's like, I don't write any outline. I just see where the story takes me and I just write where it goes. And I think to each their own, where they, but
It suffers for it too. It
yeah,
suffers. I mean, King's work suffer for it. I like the idea of actually doing an outline. Do you storyboard your own? Do you storyboard yourself, Tremaine?
I do very rudimentary storyboarding. Like I very rudimentary. Like my first movie, Rideshare, I had these like little stick figures, and I would show the DP like these little stick figures,
I can't wait for the
and
Funko Pops of those.
right. But yeah, so we would laugh about it. But he said they really helped him because you can really and with rideshare. Okay, so rideshare was completely handheld, so all handheld, all yeah. I don't think I'm trying to think if there was a single shot. The only thing that was closest to a locked off shot was when we attached the camera to the hood of a car, but we're still moving in the car, so that doesn't really count. There yeah, so so it was all handheld, and I always love handheld. I always hated tripod shots. I just always hate them. And a lot of filmmakers, the first time filmmakers, they get on the tripod and they try to do everything, and it looks so terrible when people are doing the tripod. But with this one, I was like, you know what? Rideshare was all handheld. I'm like, what if we do pretty much all tripod locked off shots? So more of getting the frame shots, rule of thirds, symmetry. I really wanted to focus on that. You know, it's like, hey, okay, you know what about challenging yourself to doing this way? Or there's a shot where she's looking out the window and then the camera kind of pans over, like but everything had to be very, uh, very intentional with it. There. So, one second, I'm gonna adjust my lighting real quick.
Sure. Yeah, I doesn't isn't Fear Street also by R.L. Stein, Wes? Doesn't R.L. Stein also do Fear Street, or is that just a consortium of different writers that do that? Um, I know those books are supremely popular at the library. I know that you know when the three sellers go in for the kids' books, that's the first thing they're looking for is R.L. Stein and Fear Street books. Uh, Goosebumps, yeah, that's the first thing they look for. It's pretty amazing watching ladies in their 40s and 50s dash down the aisleway see to try to get Goosebump books. There you go. All set? Oh, now mute,
Oh,
mute.
I'm back. I was unmuted. Whoops. Anyway, yeah. So you always want to challenge yourself as a filmmaker. I didn't want to just do the same thing. I wanted to do something different. Instead of
Sure.
having, a male lead, I wanted a female lead this time and see what that was like. And yeah. So
So let's talk about that the casting because that that's the story's great. The story's great. It's got to be there's nothing more frustrating to watch a movie with a good story and then actors that just they can't carry it. Whether it's inexperience, they haven't worked the genre, they haven't worked that genre enough. You know, maybe they're just not, they're not polished or whatnot. Um, it's they just don't deliver. Sometimes that happens to the actors too, where they'll not get a very good story. I mean, I remember one movie I was watching. I was listening to the commentary of it, and two of the actors are sitting there saying how the writer or the director and the producer were pretty much doing rewrites every single day. And I don't know about you or me. I don't know about you, but I mean, if I'm sitting there, and it's funny because I'm going to be talking about this in the future. But when you get a script and this is what you signed off for, this is what I'm going to this I like the script, I like where it's going to go, this is the story I'm going to do, and then you get on set and next thing you know your actors are being asked to do something completely different. Sometimes sometimes an actor, they can't make that adjustment. it's not as automatic that so we're gonna go from suspense to comedy. Oh snap! Okay, I can do that. It's not always that easy.
Well,
Um,
especially if they've been prepping for weeks or months, they've been memorizing their lines, they get them nailed down, and then all of a sudden, oh, wait a second, we threw away the first act. We got a whole new first act. You got to learn that, and we're shooting that tomorrow. It's like, it's really just, it's really, that's pretty unprofessional. First off,
I was
and
going
then
to ask you. I was actually going to ask you. Is that the term? Because that's the term I was thinking about, and that would be it would be very unprofessional to sit there and I can understand that maybe like once or maybe even twice, during a shoot, you know, but every single day or every other day, and we rewrote your lines, we wrote the scene. I just I just can't be very good for anybody.
yeah, like it's not good for anybody. And also I've been, whether you're on a big budget Hollywood set or whether you're on a student film, if you're given your lines 5 minutes before, like you can't expect much from the actors if they've just been given their lines 5 minutes, and it's like, oh, this, instead of this scene where you're happy, now you're crying, and you have to give this monologue, and it's just not fair. But I guess I've heard stories of even big budget Hollywood movies like Iron Man apparently didn't have a script when they started filming. I think it might have been Iron Man 2 though. Pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong in the
Yeah,
chat.
it's probably yeah, because Iron Man 2 was yeah.
Yeah, it was not, yeah, not it. Iron Man 1 was really good. Sometimes they could pull it off with some of these YouTube or these Marvel movies, or these superhero movies where they just have a release date. They're like, "Oh, we know Avengers 4 is going to be out in 2 years. Well, we better start writing the script now."
Yeah.
It's like, I guess it's kind of, that is kind of a good way to put it, because if you have an end date, or if you have a release date, or you have a date where, like for us, it was when once there were a few tweaks that I needed to make with SiMP, but it wasn't until we got that green light with the Sacktown Movie Bus Film Festival that we were going to be playing in the IMAX movie theater. It's like, oh crap, okay, we better figure out all these tweaks, and we better figure them out now. And because it's a public display in a hard deadline, so that was kind of what uh, that's what it is good to have that, but you want to be at least prepared, or at least have the idea of a script before, or like for me, I would rather you have the full script written. You're not writing it as you go on set. That's just
Yeah.
it's just too much. It adds too much stress, and then too much, like, if the actors are like, well, what the hell do you expect from me? You just gave me a 2-page monologue. We're supposed to film in 5 minutes. It's right.
I mean,
You have to,
even veteran actors, like someone like a Mike Markoff. I mean, Mike Markoff's been around for a little bit, and he's been on some major projects, and he knows how to handle it. But then when you get a young talent such as Brooke, who didn't have that many credits underneath her belt, and then you go ahead and throw that on a young actor like that, because that's a lot of weight to throw on anybody, whether it be someone who does 50 movies or someone who's just doing their second movie. That's still a lot of weight, to make them, like to change their dialogue or their script on the fly like that. Um, and I just and you can definitely tell sometimes when that happens, because all of a sudden the actors are all of a sudden they start saying lines that their characters, it goes against what the characters have showed before. I've seen it in a few films with a few major stars, where I've seen them in the first part of the movie, their character is one way, but at the end of the movie, and not because of the story, but because of the script, they're a different character. And it's like, that's not the same person we're watching. It's like you could tell it was like, oh, they must have reworked this, because this character is not the same as it's very noticeable sometimes. But let's talk a little bit about the casting, because that's got to be exciting. So, is that one of your joys? Do you like to cast yourself, or do you turn it over to someone who does it for for a living?
Oh no, no. I cast it. I've casted all my movies myself. I think I enjoy doing it because and I'm always really surprised when I see writer directors especially just have other people do the casting where I could get having a casting coordinator or casting, director or something, but I would like to be with them and they could, maybe they're doing the heavy lifting of booking the auditions, but I would love to have the input on every single actor because they might think someone is, we'd have to be on the complete same page. And I always say, like, if you cast the movie right, like that's 75% of the work is done because you cast them right, and then you don't have to really direct them as much because they're good actors. But if you cast someone that's not good or not professional or unreliable or like too green, right? It'll give you a headache. It'll just be
Yeah.
terrible. And then they're asking stupid questions on set and um luckily luckily this project was it was funny because I had worked with Brooke before and I thought she'd be perfect for this role. But I'm like, okay, you know what? No, let me see what's out there first. Let me see, because she's a bit newer. I wanted to see if there'd be a bit more seasoned actresses out there. And we did a lot of auditions. We did a lot of auditions with girls that were really good, but they just didn't, I don't know, they just didn't have
Nailed
it.
it.
Or they just,
You nailed it. You nailed it, Tremaine, with her. She's gonna break.
I think so too. I really think so too. And I'm like, Brooke, you better watch out because you might get a lot of simps in
You know what's
your
funny too?
DMs.
You know what's funny too
Yeah.
is I said the same damn thing to Mike Markoff when I talked to him. Same thing.
Really?
Yep, and he could tell you that. He'll tell you that. I saw him and he did Death Squad. He did a series called Death Squad, and
Hmm.
two of his co-stars, Joshua Hahn and Mike Ferguson. And I met Mike Ferguson. Then I met Mike through him, and
Oh,
talking
Mike
to Mike.
Ferguson, the big guy,
Yeah,
tattoos. That guy's
yeah.
cool. I like that guy. Yeah.
Mike is a hell of a worker.
Yeah.
Great actor too. Great actor. Uh, and um, I was just watching Mike's work. He did a movie called The Legend of Haz, and I loved him in Death Squad. And it's really cool. It's cool. You have a scene with him where he's handling a knife, and if you watched him in Death Squad, dude, that guy's a blade master. I mean, he makes it oh, no kidding.
Is
Oh,
he? Wow.
yes.
Yeah.
Didn't you wonder about that when you saw him with the knife on set? Did you just sit there and like, he's done this before? Because most people don't handle knives, and they don't handle them like with ease.
Right.
People, and here, I'm watching SiMP, and I'm going like, oh yeah, he hasn't lost any of those skills. Um, and I watched Mike, and then I watched The Legend of Haz, and I told him, I says, you're gonna break. I said, I told him, I says, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get you back here. And by the time that you and I meet again,
Yeah.
we won't be doing this. I'll be having to go through channels.
Right.
And,
Well,
and
I think Mike, and he referred me to you, by the way. So I think, and I hope Mike, obviously I hope for him to keep blowing up and get bigger, but I would hope that he would always be open to
oh,
conversations
it,
on
oh,
your channel. And
oh,
I believe he would
you know
be.
what it is? It's not, how it goes though, right, Tremaine? It's like, it's not like the people. It's not like he wouldn't do that. He's what, but the thing is, so the bigger, like he got, with Hitman, all of a sudden, bam, boof, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, he's doing press. He's doing big press. He's like, people noticed him and people talking about him. And next thing his agent has to look and see where he can he go to get the biggest bang. So
Hmm.
that's what happens. So
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with him on a personal level with it has to do with and I understand this. I worked live music for 10 years. I know everybody in the chat going like, we know, Patrick, but I worked live music we worked live music for 10 years. So I've seen bands that have been, that have gone from playing in front of 50 people to playing in front of 30,000. Been a part of
Wow,
that. It's really
that's
cool.
cool. Wow,
But
that is cool.
but
Have you seen
you
their egos change at all? Do they change, or are
oh,
they still the same
no,
people?
same
Yeah,
people, same
same people.
people. But the
That's
thing with it is the thing is though, it's like before nobody wanted their attention. Now
Mhm.
everybody wants
Isn't that
everybody.
funny? That
Yeah,
is funny, and I hope, like, it might sound arrogant, but I know that the same exact thing will happen with me at one point. It will freaking happen if and when one of these movies break. It's like people will
you
come out
keep
of the
making
woodworks.
movies like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
You
yeah.
you
They'll
keep
say, "Oh,
making
I
movies
knew it
like
was
that.
gonna happen." But it's tough because it's like I'm at that point where I'm still have to be my own cheerleader. I'm still doing this, and I'm still putting myself out there and everything. But you want to get to that point where other people are bringing you up and bringing you out and promoting your stuff. And but I think it's all part of the game. I mean, I love doing stuff like this and talking about
And I'm
things.
grateful for that too. I think you're ahead of the game. I think any director, and I wish to hell, I wish to hell I could have brought you and Joe Leone on together. You guys would hit it off right away because he's very much like you, and he's got an incredible eye for talent. That guy, I mean, he every time I've interviewed him about one of his films, one of the actresses that he's worked with, I'm not sure about the actors, but I know for sure the actresses, they've actually blown up after working with him. I mean,
Wow.
they become names, on their way up. He just knows, and that's one thing that's really impressed me. I'm sitting here watching SiMP, and I'm watching Brooke, and I'm going like, okay, with Mike, I knew what to expect with him. I mean, as a fan of his, and I know what he's going to bring to the table, and he is excellent in this movie. I can't tell you how I loved it. I loved his performance. I thought it was beautifully realized. I thought you brought the best out of his character. It was a magnificent job. I'm not saying that because he's been on the show before and we talk. I'm saying as a movie fan, as a cinephile, I love the characters in this movie. I loved them. I thought they were great people. I didn't really, you never got that feeling without any spoilers. You never got the feeling like, okay, this is gonna go screaming over the rail, in horror fashion. They're telling a story, and it was sort of weird. It's like, it's sort of weird. I'm thinking, going like, you know, I see a lot. I was just sitting there looking. You actually cared for both characters. Now that takes a hell of a lot, considering the traffic that you're, considering the story that you're telling about human trafficking. That's a hell of a story to be able to take a character like that and make him sympathetic and make him human. That's, because it's like not very many people can do that, nor portray him as that. Like, yeah, we want you to go from being a bastard that nobody likes to like someone who's sitting there going like, okay, so maybe I wouldn't let him babysit my kid, but I trust him enough to walk the dog. Um,
Right.
so that sort of thing. And Brooke, like I said before, she's gonna break. She was lovely. She was she was she was vulnerable. She had gravitas to her performance. I mean, it didn't she did not look like this is her first. I think this is her first feature film, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we worked with her on these bachelor party movies. So my friend Sean, the showstopper, Valentino, makes these over the top Mission Impossible parody type movies. And that's where I met her. And so she has a plot where she's this dumb blonde, but she she kind of she's like an undercover agent as well. So she's smarter than just the dumb blonde. But anyway, so it's not technically her first film, but her first leading role, definitely.
Right.
Her
And
first leading role.
that takes on all
Yeah.
pressures and all new challenges all on itself. Uh, um, and what year did you shoot the film?
The simp?
Yes.
22? Yeah. 22 or might be 21. Dang. No, 22, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, not last year, the year before, which sounds like a long time. I mean, and it kind of is, but movies take process,
Yeah, but that's everybody know yeah, people realize
yeah.
that movies take,
People have no idea. Yeah, and it's tough because it's like you finish day 1 of the movie, day 1 on set, and they're like, "Well, when's the movie coming out?" And it's like, you know, and then you premiere the movie, a year or 2 later, you premiere the movie, and then they're like, "When's the next movie coming out?" Like, it's like, "Damn it, I just spent these years on this movie, and I'm releasing it, and we're finally now." So, we'll break the news here. I did say it on my YouTube channel, but for those of you guys that are new to myself and to these movies, we just got licensed to Amazon Prime and Apple TV. So SiMP will be on Amazon Prime and Apple TV in the
That's
coming
good.
months.
That's real
Yeah,
good. That's
yeah.
real good. They
So
they
so
expect
we'll,
they expect it to do very well. I heard now I heard when you get your movie on Amazon, that's the best thing for it to be. It's even more so than Netflix in that way. And the longer your movie stays on Amazon, you can definitely tell your movie's a hit. Um, and then because a lot of movies, a lot of people I talk to, the movies come out and they go straight to Tubi, and it's like
yeah.
it's good because it's exposure, but the viewpoints aren't nearly as high as they will be with Amazon.
Well,
Um,
actually, you know what? I'm actually going to contradict you a little bit there. Tubi's become a huge platform, and especially for filmmakers, it's become very friendly towards filmmakers, monetarily wise. And
oh
where Prime has kind of started off really good, and now they dipped a bit, where they're trying to configure their numbers. They started off with like a straight up, I think, 15 cents per 30 minutes or something like
used to
that.
be yeah, used to get paid.
We get paid really well. Like, if like
Mhm.
in 2016, 17, 18, you guys are doing really well if you were on Prime. But then now it's like you get the same figures, and now it's like CER, which is like 2/100ths of a cent per. I don't know what the minutes are, but it's like depending on the engagement, depending on where they're watching it. Now it became so confusing, but the pay has gone like down
Yeah,
tenfold on
yeah,
Prime for filmmakers. But for it's kind of sucks too, because at first Prime was open to everyone and all filmmakers could
yeah.
submit.
Oh, they were
But that
begging
was
for
kind of,
people. They're
yeah,
begging for they were like, "Submit to us, submit, give us
yeah.
your
But then the
movie."
then the problem was too many people submitted and too many terrible movies were submitted, and then that kind of ruined it for everyone, because now it kind of diluted the whole Amazon Prime name, and it became something that was more exclusive, quality control. To, oh, if you accept everybody, then it's like, okay, then you're gonna get a lot of crappy stuff in there. But now Tubi TV is the up and coming one, because I believe they just surpassed Netflix in amount of users in the US. And there's a lot of huge active people, and you can make a lot more money on Tubi. So it might not sound great, but it is great for filmmakers. Tubi TV, it really is, and I honestly can't wait. I'm actually more excited about SiMP getting on Tubi TV than I am on Amazon Prime.
There's so much on Tubi now. It's absolutely insane. It's easy to get lost, which is to me what's really cool is the fact that you're willing to do this kind of show, get this out there. For every time you do an interview like this and you talk about Simp, it adds a little bit more to your digital footprint. It makes it a little bit. Before I go type in Simp and I might see 5 articles. Now after tonight, I go in there and now I see 6 articles, maybe 7 because we mentioned names, and it gets a little bit bigger and bigger. Yeah, I mean because I mean it's so many movies on, and now the networks are getting involved with it. I mean, you go there now, they'll have Tubi originals, and they're all polished product. They're all polished product. They're all like they're basically buying the movies. Like we'll commission you. Here's a couple of $1 million. Go make us a Lifetime movie with a little bit more violence. And and the thing is, so it's like a lot of the smaller movies that maybe not quite so much budget. They might get on there, but they might not get pushed forward. Like, I have not seen myself. I have not seen a true independent horror movie being pushed by like we recommend this. everything that come on my channel is all studio stuff. It's all TV shows and all that. It's like before I tune it on, and it'd be be stuff that I love, and that nobody's ever heard of. Now I don't get that. Um, I do have one question before we go back back to the to SiMP.
Oh yeah.
Did you and Mike ever have coffee in the morning?
Did Mike and I ever have? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why? Yeah.
Compensation. Let's see. I'm trying to say the word that he uses. It's like he'll sit there, he'll meditate on the day, enjoy his coffee in the
Yeah.
morning. I was wondering if he still does that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So did you do a chemistry test with Brooke and Mike? I mean, or was that just straight from your gut that you knew that these two would be compatible?
You know what's funny? In my answer to the question, it's mind-boggling that I did not ever do a chemistry test. I had already casted Brooke, and then I casted Mike without them ever doing a chemistry test. I just went with my gut. So and then now it just feels crazy that I would even like dream of not doing that, right? Because you would think that that would be the first thing to do. So I learned a lot from that, but it ended up working out really well. Like I got lucky because their chemistry was great.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now there was one scene I did see, and I like no spoilers, but I was a little bit surprised to see it in the bigger scope of things. There was a scene where there was just brief flash of nudity. Now, was that planned, or was that planned? And how, as a director, do you go up to a female talent and sit there and say, "Well, we're going to need to have that happen as part of the story"? How do you sell to an actress that even if it's just brief, how do you sell as a director, and actually as a screenwriter as well? How do you sell that to your talent that you need them to do that?
Well, yeah, that's great. You're gonna get a kick out of the story. So you first have to be completely upfront right off the bat and say, hey, there's going to be sexual situations. There's going to be kissing in this movie. There's going to be, you know, like brief nudity, like topless, whatever it is. You have to be completely upfront with your actor before when you're casting them, before even in the audition, you got to tell them right away before when you're doing the casting call, you have to put it in right away. You can't. There's some directors that try to make it a big surprise where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, by the way, in this scene you're topless, okay, go. It's like, no, that's how not to do it. That's how to get
Right.
in a lot of trouble. That's how to, you don't ever want to do that. So what ended up happening was I said, hey, in the script there is a uh, oh, thank you, Wallace. So there's, I guess it's a minor spoiler. So there's a nipple reveal. Okay, there's a nipple in this movie, guys. Spoiler alert. There's one nipple in there. And so I talked to her. I'm like, "Are you comfortable?" She's like, "Well, yeah, I don't know." And I go, "Well,
Mm.
would you be comfortable with wearing a pasty over the nipple?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, no, I could wear a pasty, no problem." I'm like, "Okay." And then I'm thinking like, what if there were pasties that looked like nipples? Sure enough, Amazon is a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
and went to Amazon. Turns out there are silicone pasties that look like nipples, and that's what we ended up doing. And I actually talked to Bunny, the makeup artist, and she had told her, and so it's like, yeah, so that was what we did. So it's actually not even a real nipple. Spoiler, you guys heard it here first. You guys are
Oh
the
my
first to
gosh,
hear it.
we got the insight.
You guys got
And
the inside scoop. So,
uh,
so
yeah, I was wondering about that too, because I'm thinking it just seemed out of place because there
yeah,
was not anything, because that was the only one in the movie. And you're sitting
yeah.
there going like, you think that's going to happen later on. These two are going to do this, do that, and then it didn't happen, and you were right in not making it happen. I like the implication, like the like, are they or will they or won't they? You know,
Right, and always like,
la-
I think it's better than because there's so much gratuitous nudity now, there's so much gratuitous violence, there's
when did that
gratuitous
come back?
everything.
When
Or
did that
that's
come
what
back?
I felt like.
It's funny because we talk about that, about how it seems like there's two things that are disappearing from movies today. One is nudity, and that's okay. And the other thing is comedy. Like, those you just don't see those you don't see it very much. But all of a sudden, it does seem like recently, like in a lot of horror films, that we are going back to like in the 80s where there was a lot of gratuitous nudity. Um, I don't, I'm not a prude. I mean, I've seen my fair share of nudity in movies and what have you, but it doesn't really seem that the nudity. I mean, it's so rare that there's a nude scene that drives a movie. I mean, something like a Life Force. It's like, it's like, okay, no, I can understand that because that's essential to the story. I get that. But, as far as some of the other ones go, yeah, we need you to go topless. And it always seems like it's always the males doing the asking. It's very rare.
Yeah.
It's very rare that a woman will sit there and say, "So how do you feel about doing a nude scene?" A woman director, going to another woman and saying, "How do you feel about doing a nude scene?" But it's always the males that somehow seem to need to have that in their movies. And it's just like, how come women directors can get away with not doing it, but you feel like you need to do it over here with your actors? Is that a prudish look at this, or is that a fair question to ask?
Well, it's interesting because there's movies uh, like Bad Moms or something like Bad Mom Trip, where it's all these women and they go to a male strip club, and and then or there's that other one with Jennifer Lopez where they're robbing men, they're like drugging men and then robbing
Okay.
them.
Yeah.
Um, it is interesting. It's weird. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of male filmmakers that or I mean, look, sex sells. Okay, it does. It in cinema, and in certain markets you can just say, hey, if there's a sex scene here, if you put a handsome man and a hot girl, you're going to get more people that are going to watch it.
Right.
And but the thing is, it has to really serve the story. There's other movies that are like just randomly have a topless scene in it, and it's like there's no point to it. There's no,
Right.
it's like, why even do it? For me, I'm always like, well, if you're gonna have a ton of violence in it, well, okay, going back to this, like, you can have a movie where people get their heads chopped off, they get stabbed, they get their arms are ripped off, there's blood and guts all over the floor. No one bats an eyelash at that, but oh my
Yeah.
god, there is a nipple, there is a female nipple or a male ass on the screen, and people flip out over that. And it's always like, wait, okay, so you're completely okay with seeing this gratuitous violence, horrible gore, heads rolling, guts spilling, and then a nipple, which everyone has nipples. Like, oh, so now all of a sudden this is like this big, huge deal. I just don't,
It,
I don't see the big deal of it.
isn't it weird?
And
Isn't it weird though that like you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, Marilyn Chambers said that once. She said, only in America can you show a woman's nipple with a man kissing it and get her X rating, but show the same man putting a knife through it and it's an R rating. You know,
yeah,
yeah,
total. Yeah.
but it's weird. It's like, most of that violence that we see and we talk about, like, and it's like, it sounds like a cop out, but it really isn't. It's like, okay, but it's part of the story. Like, if there's a slasher, Camp Crystal Lake, and he's walking around chopping people up with an axe. That's what he's doing. That's his gig. That's his part. That
Yeah.
he, it's like we can't have a slasher movie without someone getting sliced up. We got to make that happen, but that doesn't always necessarily equate to women. Like if it fits the story. I remember seeing Jennifer Lawrence. She did her first nude scene in Red Sparrow, and people were talking about that. And I finally watched that movie, and I can tell you right now that it absolutely was essential to the story. It was not
Oh,
gratuitous. It was like it was part of the story. He needed to do that to get over, to advance the story. It wasn't there for titillation. It wasn't there for like wow. It was part of the story. And like I said, I'm not a prude, and I get that. I'm glad that you didn't have to go that route with SiMP. I just wouldn't have thought it would have been necessary. Because I think it would have taken away from the character study a little bit for me. I
Right, and
love
that's
the
something that, like, we easily could have gone there. We easily that's what it easily could have been like. It could have been that, and but
I
it like you said, it lessens the story. It doesn't add anything to it, you
no.
know? Like, the way it is in that scene is more to show the male character's reaction to it, which is a complete opposite of what you might think most guys' reaction would be. So that's kind of the more the humor in it, you know? So
Let's see. And this is great. Larry mentions this. Almost stopped watching True Blood due to the nudity in that first episode. Yeah, there's a lot of nudity in that series. And then he says, I'll also say too much cussing in a film will be a downer for me. I feel like that's why I feel Tarantino is a horrible hack. He's a horrible hack. His scripts are bullshit. They're like 65% curse words. 65, 70%. He can't write. He's like the Stephen King of screenwriters. He can get away with a little, but that's all he knows. He can't sit up there and write a true. I think the closest movie he's ever gotten where he's got to write a true story, a true script, has probably been Jackie Brown, and even then, there's a lot of curse words. Uh, um, but you look at the Hateful Eight or Inglorious Bastards or you look at the Django, or it's just like, oh my lord, did it have to be that way? I mean, Reservoir Dogs. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, you don't count the cuss words; you count the regular words to see how many there are. You know, he seemed proud that he used the term. He used the term the N word. He was proud of the fact that his Django used it more than any other movie. And he
It's so
told me,
funny. I'm it's so funny because it's like I'm with you. I wouldn't necessarily call him a complete hack, but I'm with you on that because he's not my number one director because of stuff like that. And I've had this conversation with my friend Matthew Rocco, who's a filmmaker, and he worships Tarantino, and a lot of filmmakers, people that want to make movies, worship Tarantino. They worship Kubrick. And there's that line where he says the N word in Pulp Fiction, but it's his character. So he wrote the script, he's directing it, and then now he casted himself to say the N word, dead
yeah,
N word storage. He says it, and he says it like what, like 6, 8 times, and it's like, to me, I'm like, that is so, to me, that's really, one, that's really offensive, and then two, no one talks like that, and then three, he wrote that just so he could have that
legal the N
that
word.
legalese to say it in public in front of everyone, and I completely disagree with that. People are like, well, no, it's for the story and for this, like, no, it's not, and especially like if he says it once, okay, he's a racist bastard, that's part of his character or whatever, but he said it so many times that it's like, dude, that's absolutely unnecessary.
And
And
the thing is, though, too, he talks just like that off the screen.
he would have to, he would really have to,
It comes too easy for him. He's comfortable with that. He's comfortable with handing all that out, and here's Samuel Jackson, and here Jamie Foxx, and here Kurt Russell. Yeah, go ahead and say that word. I'm comfortable writing it in my script. There's something a little bit twisted about that. Like, it shouldn't be that comfortable where you could get up there with consistent movies saying, like Pulp Fiction, he got away with it. And Jackie Brown got away with it a little bit more. And says, why not just keep pushing it? Before you know it, here comes Django and has the world record for saying the word. And it's like, and he's proud of it. And it's just like,
yeah, right, and that's the thing, is like when you're trying to use it too much, it loses its effect in the movie and in the story. Like if you were to use it once, we take the F word for example. You're allowed one F word, you're allowed one F bomb in a PG-13 movie.
right.
Okay, so you can save up for the perfect moment to use that F-bomb. And then it's really strong. But then if you're using, or, or the same thing, I don't think you could say the N word in a PG-13 movie. But, uh, but the same thing with a rated R, if you're going to use that word, okay, use it, but it better be you better use it in a way that's serves the story and makes it that really powerful moment, because even if it's a character, people that do talk like that or did at that time, it'll like the audience, like, oh my gosh, like, wow, like, what did they, look at what he just said. But if you're just using it every other word, it's just like, you're just typing. I imagine Tarantino typing, yeah, I just want.
I mean, can you imagine coming out of the theater? Can you imagine what kind of reaction you get if people came walking out of the theater quoting those lines in the movie?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Right,
You know,
exactly. Yeah,
Sammy Jackson sitting there going like, I'll put you down, and then you come out of the theater and you go like, how about Sammy Jackson when he said no, 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 and and you're sitting there going like, I'm just quoting the movie. It's almost like
right.
a license to be stupid, you know, by lazy screenwriting. I could fit 75. I could fit offensive words 75% of my script, and I can get away with it because I'm Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah,
Okay, well, you're also like, I'll say it again because I will, because how I feel. But I think as far as screenwriter goes, he's a hack. I mean, anybody has to use that much curse words to get over the fact of the matter is that you don't have much of a story there, and you need to fill it up there with. And the other thing is, though, he wasn't always that way. Me go back to Reservoir Dogs. You look at the first scene of Reservoir Dogs. That's brilliant. That's
yeah.
brilliant.
Oh yeah, I love
But
that
how many
scene because
times?
they have a good debate because they talk about tipping, no tipping,
Right.
like,
But
all that stuff.
how many times as a screenwriter like Tarantino, who's gotten the cachet, how many times, all of a sudden, instead of like staying where they were at, hey, Reservoir Dogs it's a very funny movie. Very dark humor, and it's a very funny movie. But it's like, how come we can't just stay in that? I mean, how come you couldn't keep with this? How come you couldn't take the first scene and keep it throughout the movie? Because that it falls apart dialogue wise in the second half. I mean,
Well, I think, like, going back to SiMP, like, when we first did a screening, I did a screening with my folks, and we did a small screening with the cast and a few others. And my parents liked it, but they're like, "Oh man, there's so much cursing in it. There's so much swearing in it." And
really.
then, yeah, they said that. And then after the screening on IMAX, they were like, "Actually, there wasn't as much as we remember. There wasn't as
No,
much as we thought."
no. I was going to ask you. I was actually. I mean, I was asking if Simp did Simp get an R rating, or did it get a PG-13 rating?
It's R. It's definitely R because there's a lot of F words in there. And there's the other F word in there as well. And then there's like the one nipple, right? So it's an R rating, but it is kind of a soft R compared to a lot of the
Right.
R's that are today.
Yeah, I didn't get that hard R feeling at all. I just felt like, I just thought it was just a really good story, and the language seemed organic. Again, organic. Like I totally could. I feel like I was a fly on the wall and hearing this because it sounded so authentic. And again, that's superior screenwriting. That's superior
Uh,
screenwriting. That's telling a story. And a lot of so-called screenwriters or directors like Tarantino, they've they've just forgotten it. They've forgotten it.
Well, yeah,
Although,
going back to Tarantino, there's the one, what is it, Death Wish, where there's the your Death Race, or the one where he goes on. There's that. It's a really cool chase scene. The car chase scene is really cool, but before that, there's dialogue. And they always say, screenwriters, if you're reading their script, you should be able to cover the names of the characters and still know who's talking. So based on whoever's talking, you should still be able to tell who it is. But if you cover their names and you can't tell who's talking, and if they just sounds like the same person talking to each other, that's how you know it's bad screenwriting. Now, going back to Tarantino, there's a lot of dialogue in there where I'm like, this is Tarantino talking to himself right here. Like, you could tell it's him wanting to go on these rants. People are going on these monologues, but it sounds like Tarantino talking to himself. And again, look, Tarantino's super extremely successful, big, huge Hollywood actor. I would hope to have a tenth of the success that he has. they're not just dogging on him. But there are times when I'm watching these movies and I'm like, it just feels like Tarantino just in love with his own dialogue, and he wants,
Yeah.
and he's like, there's been interviews, he's like, no, I pay you, okay, all right, I'm paying you to say my words, all right,
Yeah.
it's like, for me, there's certain things where, okay, yeah, you say this line, you have to say it like this to serve the story. But then there's other times when an actor can think of a character and they can say it in a better way that I never could have thought of in a million years in the writing. So that's kind of the difference where I'm open to some of that, and but nothing crazy, not to change it up. I've also had actors that want to completely change the line and the character and all that stuff. And so you're like, are
Do
you
you
dial about? Oh, maybe we can try it. But
do you encourage improv? I mean, are you open to it, or are you more of a stickler to follow what I wrote?
I'm always like, follow the script first, and then if we have time for it, try to say something in your own words. See what they say, and sometimes they can improv a line or just a line that just ends up happening. For example, in SiMP, there was a line that happened um, where he says, you have a really small penis, and then the brother says, yeah, so do you, like immediately, like that was improv, right? That was improv. And like and it was funny because my friend Todd, who has two brothers, like he knows that brotherly banter, right? Brothers having banter and that type of stuff. And that was on the fly. And then we kept it in the movie because it was hilarious. And there's things that happen on the fly where they just react to it, or sometimes you learn that there's a little bit of a gap in the script where it's like, oh, would they react like that, or would they say something else? And then an improv line comes in, and it serves the story and it stays in. But yeah, there's always like the actors that are like, "Oh my god, did you know that one line was improv? Oh, that was such an amazing line." It's like, well, yeah, that's great, but 99.9999% of it was not improv. You don't want to count any of those lines either. Like those are some great lines too. It's like,
Let's go for a picnic. Wow, what a powerful line! That was improv. Okay. Well,
yeah,
what about the part where the building's on fire? Oh yeah, all right, yeah, yeah.
right, yeah, where he does a 7-page monologue and it's fantastic, and gave a standing ovation. But oh yeah, yeah, the writer, writers always they never get enough credit, I don't think. And it's
No,
always the
no.
director. It's always the director. It is the director. And I learned just from either just directing stuff or working on other projects. It has to be on the page. If
Screenwriters,
it's not.
film directors, directors, screenwriters are the two most powerful combos. I love talking. I mean, I love talking to directors. I think a director screenwriter just adds a little bit more punch to it. I've had some excellent ones on here. I've had some hell of talent on this show that have been filmmakers and screenwriters, and you could definitely tell by watching their projects that they are so skilled. Watching your film is the same way. Tomorrow night, Joe Leone will be here, and Joe is also the same way. He writes his stuff and he puts it out there, and you can tell how strong it is, and he directs the movie, and you can tell that he's comfortable enough because the words are his. He knows how to do it. Now, the ones where I think that sort of stumble a little bit are the ones that try to do a little bit more than that. That's when they try to do writing, directing, and then acting. That sometimes can be a little bit, and you can tell, you can sense it, where it's like that's a lot of weight to take on one's shoulders. I'm acting in my own movie that I wrote. And this is your first movie? Yes. Yeah, good luck with that.
Right. Totally. Totally. I mean, I've worked with there's the writer, there's the director, that can direct it. Then there's like the writers who love the word, but then there's the writer directors, then there's the writer director star. And the
Mhm.
writer director star is a whole nother animal, because a lot of times they're writing their character to be this godly, amazing person, and all the women love him, and he says the most witty lines, and everyone else around him it's just, it doesn't really serve the story. You know what I mean? It really does. It's you're playing with ego there, I think. And so I think there's the director star like Costner, where I don't think Costner writes his stuff, but he'll direct his stuff and he'll star. But I give like Mel Gibson all the credit too, because he'll direct and he'll star, but I don't believe he writes. He doesn't write as well. But there's the writer,
I
director, star.
I
Where it's
think
like, wait a second, this guy, it's like a Tommy Wiseau, for example, who writes his, Tommy Wiseau writes his character to be like this amazing guy,
mhm.
and then with this really hot wife or whatever, or
Right,
girlfriend.
right, right.
And he has all these he has like 4 sex scenes in the first 10 minutes of the movie where, and then there's like this huge gratuitous butt shot of Tommy Wiseau wanting to show the world his butt, which is completely unnecessary. Yeah, Neil Breen, exactly. I am Ice Lord. Neil Breen is a prime example of someone whose ego is so off the charts, but the movies are highly entertaining. I love Neil Breen movies because they're so hilarious. They're so terrible, but you could tell he loves himself so much. The guy literally writes himself to be a god, where he is a god, and then all these women love him, and he's like 2 to 3 times the age of every girl that he's hooking up with. And he's showing his butt for no reason. Like who's asking? He's got a shower. He's like naked shower scene. No one is asking for Neil Breen to be naked. And then
I
now
wonder,
he's like,
I wonder how long it'll be before we see that. We'll see that from the Fell Dog. Uh, yeah, we've been
who's the fell dog?
Corey Feldman. We've been in my groups. We've been talking lately about Corey Feldman because he goes out there and he puts this band on the road, and he just cannot play music to save his life. He is not a musician at all on any level. He's an okay actor. I mean, he's all right. Not the best, but
Yeah,
it's okay. But
yeah.
watching him try to sing, try to with his band, oh my lord, it's like watching NASCAR. It's endless entertainment. It's like you're sitting there going, like, when's he gonna crash? He crashes before he plays he can't play the first note because he doesn't know how to play a first note. Yeah, I mean, it's the ego as out there it is astounding.
Well, and he's dressed like Michael Jackson with the glove,
Uh,
and he tries to be Michael Jackson, and that's tough. But to be honest though, I do have a connection. I have a loose connection
to
to,
the
to, to
Fell
yeah, to
Dog.
the Feldman. Yeah, I know his brother, and I met his brother and hung out with his brother a bunch of times. His brother's a police officer, really, and he's like complete opposite. He looks a lot like Corey Feldman, but he's very more like straight edge, really nice guy in great shape. And he's good friends of a friend of mine. Speaking of the showstopper, Sean Valentino, which those are writer, director, star movies, those bachelor party movies. I'll have to show you
Okay.
later. I'll send you some links. But his friend is Corey Feldman's brother. So, and he's met Corey Feldman on occasion, and apparently he's a nice, normal guy off camera. But it's tough when the entertainment industry, when it's a lot image oriented, or they, I always kind of make fun of those actors that they only care about their body. They're trying to work out really well. They got the really fit. They've got a great physique. They look like male models and stuff, but then they can't act their way out of a paper bag. And it's like, okay, yes, looks are important, but more important is the craft of acting, or the actors, whether they're male or female, when they're getting older, when you're in your 40s, you're in your 50s, and you're still trying to be the hot young star or the starlet or whatever, and you're trying to get all this plastic surgery, you're trying to fight father time. Is this not going to work? It's like you have to, especially as an actor, you have to evolve and embrace these projects. Yeah, maybe you're not the hot college girl from Love Interest anymore, but now you play the mom, you could play the
Mhm.
aunt, you could play the sister, you know,
Sure.
you can play all these other, like you can play all these other and not try to. Looks are important in Hollywood. I'm not going to lie about that. Especially for this movie, I needed 2 actors looked that were like attractive. Like Brooke had to be beautiful because it just had to be. I've seen other movies where the leading, I don't know, it sounds really sexist or whatever, but there's other, like, if they don't look the part, or if they're supposed to be a model, like she's supposed to be an Instagram model, like someone who's known for her looks. And if she's not a model, if she doesn't look like a male or a female model, then it's not going to work because no one's going to believe it, right? And then for Mike, there had to be, he had to be like, because there's that line, and it's even in the trailer. It's like, oh, you're kind of cute. Like he's an attractive man, but then he can also play that where he's, oh yeah, there's like those guys that look like male models, but then there's like something off about them, right?
Yeah.
There's, you know what I mean? Like there's something off about them, and like Mike could play that to a T, where he knew how to play that role really well. So he couldn't have just been because if he was some monster or some like hideous looking, like the guy from freaking the Goonies. Speaking of Feldman, like it just wouldn't. It just said, "Hey you." If he's like, "Hey you guys," it just would not have worked, right? It would not have worked, you know.
Oh,
So,
that's funny. That is, but you're right. But you're right. I am looking past our time. We have blown past where I'm supposed to keep you, so I'm going to go ahead and put a stop right here. Um, but this will not be the first that we will be talking about the film Simp, because we will be talking to one of the other co-stars of the movie in a return visit. Bunny Stewart will be joining us in August. Bunny will be coming here on the 8th.
okay.
So we'll be talking about handling the makeup and the effects for Simp. And she also has a part in the movie, which was a very cute little scene. I really liked that a lot, and it was really cool seeing Bunny in action. She's one of the sweetest people that we know, and we're looking forward to having her come on the show on the 8th. As far as you, Tremaine, when's Simp coming out? Do you have a release date?
So they don't tell me. So it was licensed to Prime about a month ago, and they say anywhere between 6 and 12 weeks. So within the next 2 to 6 weeks, it'll be out. But guys, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Hayhoe Studios. I believe Patrick put that link in the description. We put it in the comments. So I'll keep you guys all posted when that's coming out, and you guys will be the first to see. And yeah, if you guys can support us on Patreon, I'm trying to make more movies, and because movies cost a little bit of money, and you guys can also get some insider behind the scenes looks at the movie before everyone else. So behind the scenes photos and videos and everything like that. So
Now, do you have a distributor for Simp?
yes, so same one, Film Hub. So Film
Okay.
Hub is the distributor, and they're going to be pushing it out to the rest of the streaming apps. So my first movie rideshare, I believe, is on 20 different streaming apps, something like that. So if you guys want to watch things in the meantime, Cat Town Story is out. It's a wholesome
Yeah,
documentary. If you
that's
guys want to
right.
watch, yeah, if you guys want to watch, it's on Tubi. If you want to go on to Tubi, you can watch it. It's also on my YouTube channel. But yeah, if you search Cat documentary on Tubi
I
TV.
cannot believe that we not get it deep into a Cat Town Story. I feel like I failed this interview. It was supposed to be
No,
about Cat Town Story. I
well, this one's
failed.
all about simp. We'll get, it's okay. We
I
can
want I
film.
want I want to
We can
talk
always
I
come
want to
back.
talk about Kevin.
But it's all
Uh,
about simp, you guys. This
oh my
movie.
gosh! Look how beautiful Brooke is. I'm telling you. I do hope that I'm able to land at least one interview with her, because it'll be the same thing as with Mikey. I'll get one crack at that, and that'll be it. I won't get her again. Um,
No. You will. She's
I
great.
don't know. I don't
No,
know.
you
I
will.
think I think I think I think she'll break before. I think she's right there. Mikey's just getting bigger. I
Oh,
can't
he
believe
is.
it. Yeah, I
Yes.
can't.
But then who knows? What if Have Cheetah Will View will get too big for everyone, right? So
Yeah,
guys, be sure to slap a like on that Have Cheetah Will View. Slap a like on this video
that's
and
right.
subscribe to Patrick's channel, Have Cheetah Will View, guys. And stay tuned.
I still have a long way to go. But there's a lot of people on here that I will be following that we're dropping in here. All your peers that came in here, I will be
Mhm.
reaching out to some of them to have them come out and hang out with us, if they're willing to do so. Us,
Sure.
we'll talk to everybody. And I'm so glad Sim's coming out for the public to see. Mike Markoff in action, Brooke Piedra, just
Yeah, Drew. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, just lovely actors. A very good story. Tremaine knocked it out of the park with Simp. Cannot wait for you guys to see it.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's do this. All right, boys and girls, we will be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. The first day of August. We'll be talking to the aforementioned Joe Leone, and he's got a new movie out called Scared to Death, and we'll be talking with the lead actress of that film, Arena Oz. If you guys already know by seeing Joe, we always talk to some very talented people for his movies. He himself is just like I said, he's just very much like you and you him. Got great eyes, for spotting talent. That's not easy. That's a gift.
Thank
It
you.
really is. It really is a gift. All right, that is
Thank
it
you.
for us. Go ahead and like this and share this out for us. Drop a comment. That really helps us out too. Drop a comment. I know you guys have been here for the whole show, but drop a comment. Thank you so much, Wes. I appreciate that. And yeah, Tremaine, stay right where you're at for a minute. And to you guys in the chat, thank you again. And we will see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with Joe Leone and Arena.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you all for watching. Peace.